Hello everyone. Welcome back to the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Certification Bootcamp. In this module, we'll cover everything you need to know about Amazon Elastic File Store or EFS for the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate exam. We'll start the session by familiarizing ourselves with what EFS is. We will explain key properties of EFS and we'll understand real-world use cases of EFS. Then we'll review EFS performance modes and storage classes. Finally, we'll compare EFS with EBS and EC2 instance store and explain when to use each services. Throughout the session, we'll provide required tips to answer any questions related to EFS during the certification. This is going to be very interesting and informative session. But before we start, on behalf of the CloudExpert Solution team, I would like to thank you for joining us and exploring this video. If you have already subscribed to our channel, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It truly means a lot to our team. If you haven't subscribed yet, we kindly invite you to do so and gain access to premium cloud courses and certification bootcamps all for free. Let's get started. Amazon Elastic File System or EFS is a fully managed, scalable file storage service built to be used with Amazon EC2 and other compute services. Think of it as a file server in the cloud that can automatically grow and shrink as you add or remove files from it. You can connect the same EFS across thousands of EC2 instances, and EFS provides read after write consistency. It can only be mounted on Linux-based operating system, and please remember, EFS is not for Windows operating system. EC2 uses EFS mount target or mount point to connect to EFS. We are talking about mount target. A mount target in Amazon EFS is the entry point through which your EC2 instance connect and access the file system. Think of it as a doorway. When you want your EC2 instance to use EFS, you mount the file system using mount point or mount target provided by AWS, similar to you mount a USB drive on your laptop. You can access your Elastic file system from multiple EC2 instances spread across availability zones. Multiple compute instances like EC2, ECS, Lambda, which is running in multiple availability zones but within a VPC in a AWS region, can also connect to the same EFS. Now within the region, you can connect with multiple VPCs via VPC peering. If you have a use case to access Amazon EFS from an on-premise location, you can also do that via a VPN or a direct connect connection between your on-premises and AWS cloud. We have dedicated sessions on AWS networking services like VPC, Direct Connect, VPN and other AWS networking services. Amazon EFS is a regional service, so the file system is accessible from any availability zone in the region. As an example, if you have an EC2 instance in US East 1A availability zone, you can still connect to the mount target in US East 1B if the network routing and security group allows it. For our example, security group of NFS mount target located in US East 1B should allow the inbound traffic on port 2049, which is the NFS port, from EC2 instances security group located in US East 1. But AWS recommends you to create mount point on every AWS availability zone, and this is the best practice. You should create a mount target in each availability zone where EC2 instances reside, and this will reduce the connection latency and it will improve high availability of your connection. Now let's review EFS key properties. EFS supports the Network File System or NFS v4 protocol, so that your EC2 instance can mount it like a normal network drive. It can automatically scale up to petabyte of storage. Amazon EFS file systems are regionally resilient and store data across multiple availability zones by default. This means that your data is highly available even if a single availability zone fails. Amazon EFS is POSIX compliant, which makes it compatible with various Linux operating systems, and multiple EC2 instances can connect concurrently. It could be read and write data into one Amazon EFS instance. Amazon EFS supports encryption at rest using KMS, and you can enable encryption at rest only when you are creating a new EFS. If you have an existing EFS which is unencrypted, to encrypt the data, you can create a new encrypted EFS and then copy the data from unencrypted EFS to the encrypted EFS. This is the way to encrypt any existing unencrypted EFS system. Please remember, you cannot enable encryption for an existing EFS file system. Amazon EFS is perfect for use cases that require shared access to the same data. For example, content management systems like WordPress, web applications that run on multiple EC2 instances, or data science environment where multiple machines need access to the same dataset, or for media processing pipelines. It is also great fit for legacy applications that need a shared file system during lift and shift migration. During the certification exam, if you encounter any terminology like NFS v4 protocol or POSIX file system or concurrent read or write access from multiple EC2 instances, then the potential answer should be Amazon EFS. Now let's review EFS performance modes. File system performance is typically measured using latency, throughput, and input-output operations per second or IOPS. Based on these parameters, EFS provides you different options. In terms of file system type, either you can create a regional service or one zone EFS. Regional file systems provide the highest level of availability and durability by storing data redundantly across multiple availability zones within a region, while one zone file system stores data redundantly within a single availability zone. One zone offers cost saving for workloads that don't require multi-AZ resilience. In terms of performance mode, we have general purpose and max IO. General purpose is the default mode and suitable for 99% of the client need, and this is ideal for latency sensitive use cases like web applications, web servers, or content management systems or CMS. Whereas max IO optimized for applications where tens or thousands of EC2 instances are accessing the EFS, and it can scale to higher level of aggregated throughput and designed for highly parallel workloads that can tolerate higher latency like big data, media processing application. Max IO is not supported for one zone file systems or file systems that use elastic throughput. In terms of throughput mode, we have three options. We have either elastic or provision throughput or bursting throughput. Now let's review one by one. EFS that are using elastic throughput can automatically scale throughput performance up or down to meet the needs for your workload. Elastic throughput is the best throughput mode for spiky or unpredictable workloads with performance requirements that are difficult to forecast, and you pay only for the amount of metadata and data read or write, and you don't accumulate any burst credit for this mode. With provision throughput, you specify a level of throughput that the file system can drive independent of the file system size or burst credit balance. You should use provision throughput if you know your workload performance requirement, and for this mode, AWS will charge for the amount of throughput provisioned or enabled for the file system. whereas bursting throughput is recommended for workloads that require throughput that scales with amount of data stored in your file system. In terms of baseline performance, you will get a 50 MB per second per terabyte of storage with a burstable limit of additional 100 MB per second per terabyte. For the certification exam, please remember all the performance modes, and you may encounter questions with 3 correct performance mode and 1 incorrect performance mode. And the question will expect you to identify the incorrect performance mode. In terms of storage class, we have 3 options. We can use standard, infrequent access or archive. Standard EFS used SSD based storage to deliver lowest latency, and this is based for frequently accessed data. Standard storage class does not charge any retrieval fee when you are trying to read or write the data, and standard class provides fast byte latency of sub-millisecond. Coming to infrequent access provides a cost optimized storage class for less frequently accessed data, and this is ideal for files which are accessed a few times, maybe per quarter. Infrequently accessed class charges for file retrieval. That means when you will try to read or write in the file stored in infrequent access, and in terms of latency, you will get tens of milliseconds. Please note that if you are storing the frequently accessed files in an infrequent access, then your cost can rise due to the retrieval fees. Coming back to archive storage is ideal for inactive data or the data that is accessed a few times per year. The latency will be similar to infrequent access and the latency will be tens of milliseconds. Archive tier also charges a retrieval fee when you try to read or write the data in the file stored in archive tier. Archive tier has a minimum storage duration of 90 days, which standard or infrequent access does not have. And please remember, for the certification, please remember AWS EFS can automatically transition files between standard, infrequent access and archive tier based on the access pattern, and you can use lifecycle policy to automatically transition older, less access files into infrequent access tier. With this technique, you can save money without sacrificing availability. You can also configure policies to move files back to standard tier when the files are accessed, and that will avoid repetitive retrieval charge if you are accessing the file frequently. Now let's compare Amazon EFS versus Amazon EBS and Instant Store side by side. EFS is a file storage, whereas EBS is a block storage, and Instant Store is ephemeral block storage. In terms of durability, EFS and EBS both provide persistent storage, whereas Instant Store is non-persistent. You can share one EFS file system with multiple EC2 instances. EBSs are normally attached with single EC2 instance except for IO1 or IO2 block express, where you can use multi-attach, and Instant Store are not supported for shared. EFS can be attached to multiple availability zones, whereas EBS should be only within the availability zone, and Instant Store can be attached only to the same host. In terms of use cases, EFS is for shared application or for CMS type of applications. EBS can be used for databases or boot volumes, and Instant Store can be used when you have a requirement for caching or temporary file storage. To summarize, EFS is your go-to solution when you need NFS 4.0 protocol or shareable file storage in AWS. This is ideal for multi-AZ EC2 architecture, and it supports lifecycle policy that can significantly lower your storage cost. And for the certification, make sure you understand when to use EFS versus EBS or Instant Store. On the certification exam, you can expect questions that test your ability to match storage solution with the right use cases. I'm back to my AWS Management Console. From service search option, I'll write Elastic File Store or EFS. The first item in the service search is EFS. Let's click that. To create a file system, either you can click create file system, or from the left hand side you can go to file systems and you can click on create file systems. You have to first provide a name. I'll use the name CES or CloudExpert Solution EFS demo. You can choose whatever the name you want. EFS is a VPC service, that is why you should choose a VPC. I'll go with the default VPC. Now here are the recommended settings. Throughput mode is elastic. Transition to infrequent access after 30 days. Transition to archive after 90 days. Automatic backup is enabled by default. Encryption is also enabled by default. If you want to customize, you can click customize and you can create the file systems either regional or one zone. You have option to create the EFS either a regional. If you select regional, mount points will be created to all availability zones. And if you select one zone, then you can select only one availability zone. Since my default AWS region is US/1, that is why I have all the 7 availability zones. Now let's go to regional. And in terms of automatic backup, I don't want to enable automatic backup because I'm creating for this demo. Encryption also I don't need. Performance, either you can use enhanced or bursting. I'm fine with the default option. Let's review additional settings. Here you have performance mode, either general purpose or max IO. Since I have used enhanced, that is why max IO is disabled. If I'll select bursting, then max IO will be enabled. Let's go with the default option enhanced. Tagging is optional. I'll go to next. Here are all the mount targets that will be created based on the availability zones, and it will get an IP address IPv4. With every EFS mount target, a default security group will be created. Now let's go to next. Here are the file system policies. I don't want to attach any file system policy now. I'll click next and I'll review all the options. I'm fine with everything, and then let's create. The file system has been created successfully. Now let's review the options. You can click the file system ID. Under network tab, you can see all the mount targets. Replications we haven't enabled. You can create replication if you want to replicate to other destinations. You can create that. And let's delete the file system. We don't want to get any charge. For that, I'll select the EFS file system and I'll delete. I'll confirm deletion by typing the ID. Now confirm. The EFS file system has been deleted, and now you are not going to get any additional charges for this elastic file system. That wraps up this module. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more AWS exam preparation courses and cloud certification bootcamps. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for learning with us at CloudExpert Solutions. You are now one step closer to crushing your exam. See you in the next module.